Sit down, close your eyes, and hold one arm out in front of you. Now bend your elbow and try to touch the tip of your nose. You probably came surprisingly close, but how? You could not see your hand. Nobody told you the angle of your elbow, how far your shoulder had rotated, or when your finger had reached your face. Somehow, your nervous system already knew where the moving parts were. That hidden ability is called proprioception, your sense of the position and movement of your own body. It is sometimes described as a sixth sense, but that makes it sound mysterious. In reality, proprioception is a constant stream of mechanical information. It helps you walk without staring at your feet, adjust your grip without watching every finger, and scratch the back of your head without first locating it in a mirror. And most of the time, you do not consciously notice any of it. So where does this information come from? One major source is the muscle spindle. A muscle spindle is a small sensory structure located inside most skeletal muscles. It sits alongside the ordinary muscle fibers and responds as the muscle changes length. When a muscle is stretched, signals from its spindles help describe both the change and how quickly that change is happening. That gives the nervous system useful information about movement and joint position. Another source is the Golgi tendon organ, a sensory structure associated with the junction between muscle and tendon. It responds to muscle tension and contributes information about force and load. The idea that Golgi tendon organs simply shut a muscle down when tension becomes dangerous is an oversimplification. Their signals are part of an adaptable system that helps regulate force during real movement. Receptors in the skin and around the joints also contribute. As your fingers curl around a cup, changing pressure and skin stretch provide additional clues. So proprioception is not one sensor connected to one body map. It is a combined pattern arriving from muscles, tendons, joints, and skin. Spinal circuits use some of this information for rapid adjustments. Other signals reach the cerebellum and areas involved in conscious body awareness. At the same time, the brain is sending motor commands outward. It can use those commands to predict what a movement should feel like, then compare the prediction with incoming sensory information. That comparison is why movement can be corrected while it is still happening. If a cup is heavier than expected, your grip strengthens. If the ground slopes, your ankle and hip muscles adjust. You do not need to stop and calculate each correction. But proprioception does not work alone. To remain upright, the nervous system combines three major sources. Vision describes movement relative to the environment. The vestibular system in the inner ear detects head movement and orientation. Proprioception describes what the body itself is doing. The brain does not give every source a fixed vote. It changes the weighting according to which information seems most reliable. On a firm floor, information from the ankles is usually useful. On a soft or moving surface, those signals become less dependable, so vision and vestibular information may receive more weight. Close your eyes, and vision disappears from the calculation. Your balance does not switch off, but the remaining systems must do more of the work. That is why many people sway more with their eyes closed, especially when the surface under them is unstable. This is not proof that one system is weak. Sway is part of normal balance, and an eyes closed test by itself is not a diagnosis. It simply reveals that balance is a collaboration. Proprioception can also be fooled. In laboratory experiments, researchers can place a vibrating device over a muscle tendon. At certain frequencies, the vibration strongly stimulates muscle spindle signals. A person whose arm is completely still may feel as though the joint is moving. The movement is not imaginary in the casual sense. The brain is receiving a pattern that normally accompanies a changing muscle length, so it builds the most likely explanation: the limb must be moving. When the person can clearly see that the arm is stationary, the illusion often becomes weaker. Vision and proprioception disagree, and the nervous system must decide which information deserves more trust. This tells us something important. Your sense of body position is not a perfect internal photograph. It is the brain's best continuously updated estimate. We can see how essential that estimate is in rare people who lose much of their proprioceptive feedback because of damage to large sensory nerves. They may use vision to compensate, carefully watching their limbs to guide movement. Even with visual feedback, movements can become less accurate and less efficient. When vision is unavailable, ordinary actions may become dramatically harder. So can proprioception be trained? To a degree, yes, but the phrase proprioceptive training covers many different things. Balance practice, controlled reaching, joint position exercises, and sport-specific movement challenges do not all train the same skill. Research suggests that active movement practice can improve proprioceptive and motor performance in many healthy and clinical groups, but the improvements are usually specific to the task, the body region, and the person. Standing on an unstable object is not a universal upgrade for the entire nervous system, and researchers are still studying how long some training effects last. The useful principle is simpler. Practice the kind of sensing and control that the activity actually requires, with enough challenge to demand correction, but enough safety to perform it well. The next time you walk through a dark room, button a shirt without watching every finger, or touch your nose with your eyes closed, remember what is happening beneath awareness. Thousands of mechanical signals are describing length, tension, pressure, and movement. Your nervous system combines them with vision, balance information, and its own predictions. Then it quietly updates the answer to a question you almost never need to ask. Where exactly am I?